1 in 5. Think about that. That's how many people in the United States are dealing with an anxiety disorder. It's a staggering number, and for millions, it's a deeply personal reality every single day.
You know, for decades, when we've thought about anxiety, we've thought about neurons, the brain's wiring, right? But what if that's not the whole story? What if the real control switch has been hiding in plain sight, in a system we've just completely overlooked?
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where it gets fascinating. Some groundbreaking work from the University of Utah Health is telling us to look away from the usual suspects. They're shining a spotlight on the brain's own immune system as the potential master regulator of anxiety.
Yeah, you heard that right. The cells that are actually responsible for dialing our anxiety levels up or down, they might not be neurons at all. Instead, all the evidence is now pointing to a very specific class of immune cells that live right there inside the brain.
And these cells are called microglia. Now you can think of them as the brain's dedicated security force and its cleanup crew. They're constantly on patrol, protecting against invaders, tidying up cellular junk. But as it turns out, their job description is way more complex than we ever gave them credit for.
So, how did scientists even stumble onto this? Well, it all started with a really confusing scientific puzzle. In some early experiments, researchers messed with just one specific type of microglia, called Hoxb8 microglia, and boom, the mice became super anxious. But here's the twist. When they blocked all the microglia at once, the mice were totally fine. They behaved normally. How on earth could removing more cells actually fix the problem? It just didn't add up.
That completely bizarre result is what led the research team to a brilliant new hypothesis. Maybe it's not about one type of cell. Maybe it's a tale of two very different cells working against each other. They called it the accelerator and brake model.
So, here's the crucial idea. The theory is that you've got two dueling populations of these microglia. First, you have the non-Hoxb microglia. These act as the accelerator, pushing anxiety levels up. And then you have the Hoxb microglia. Those are the brakes, working to slow anxiety down and keep things calm.
And what's really fascinating is how these are balanced in the brain. About 3/4 of all microglia are these accelerator cells. Only about 1/4 are the brakes. This means the braking system is seriously outnumbered, which just goes to show how absolutely critical its presence is for keeping anxiety levels in check.
Of course, having a really cool theory is one thing, but proving it is something else entirely. The researchers needed to design a rock-solid experiment to isolate these two cell types and see if they really behaved like an accelerator and a brake.
And the experiment they came up with was incredibly elegant. First, they started with special mice that had no microglia at all, a completely blank slate. Then they made 3 groups. One group got only the accelerator cells. A second group got only the brake cells, and a third control group got a normal mix of both. And then they just watched. And what they found, well, it wasn't subtle or confusing this time. The results were completely, totally unambiguous. Just look at this. The mice with only the accelerator cells showed classic signs of high anxiety. They groomed themselves compulsively and avoided open spaces. It was like the gas pedal was floored with absolutely no brakes. But in stark contrast, the mice with just the brakes, or with a normal mix of both, showed low, healthy levels of anxiety. The brakes worked. They proved the theory.
As the senior author, Dr. Mario Capecchi, put it, these two populations of microglia have opposite roles. Together, they set just the right levels of anxiety. It's just a beautifully simple system of balance, a biological push and pull.
So, what does all this actually mean for that 1 in 5 people living with an anxiety disorder? This is where the story moves from the lab into what could be a whole new era for treatment. One of the researchers, Dr. Don Deren, calls this a paradigm shift, and that's a powerful statement. What it suggests is that a defect in the brain's immune system, not just its neural circuits, could be the direct cause of something as specific as chronic anxiety.
And here is why this matters so much. We humans have similar populations of these microglia. And yet, almost every single psychiatric drug on the market today targets neurons. This research opens a completely new door. Imagine future therapies designed not to alter neurotransmitters, but to fine-tune the brain's immune system, to strengthen the brakes or maybe ease off the accelerator, helping patients finally regain control.
Now, the researchers are quick to add a note of caution. As Dr. Deren says, we're far from the therapeutic side. This is foundational science.
But that critical first step has been taken. The door is now officially open to an entirely new way of thinking about and hopefully treating these kinds of disorders.
It leaves us with this fascinating final question. We've spent a century focused on the chemistry of neurons. But could the next great leap in mental health care come from learning how to rebalance our brain's own internal defense force? This research suggests the answer may very well be yes.
Subscribe to BioTuberOnline and unlock unlimited potential to improve every aspect of your health. Find real solutions for weight loss, blood sugar management, heart health, and mental resilience. Plus, science-driven answers for balancing hormones, boosting immunity, supporting healthy aging, optimizing digestion, managing pain, and preventing chronic disease. Learn to recharge your energy, enhance sleep, sharpen memory, and build strength through trusted fitness routines and nutrition plans grounded in the latest medical research. Explore topics like gut health, stress reduction, inflammation control, women's wellness, men's health, skincare, mindful living, reproductive health, bone and joint care, and integrative therapies. No matter your age or goal, this channel simplifies cutting-edge studies and expert insights, offering practical tips for total wellness, physical, emotional, and social. Join the BioTuberOnline community for step-by-step guidance, actionable strategies, and daily motivation you can rely on. Subscribe now for evidence-based content and never miss an opportunity to thrive in every area of your life.